Have you noticed how the world seems to be changing faster than ever? For those who study biblical prophecy, these shifts aren't just random. They're part of a bigger picture that's been unfolding for centuries. As we approach 2025, some of the signs we're seeing seem to echo what the Bible foretold. Imagine if ancient prophecies were happening right before our eyes. Could it be that the events shaping our world right now are part of the final chapters written thousands of years ago? These prophetic trends capturing attention globally might reveal what lies ahead. In recent years, believers have been paying closer attention to global trends that seem to mirror biblical prophecies. Among the most notable signs are developments that point towards the building of a third temple in Jerusalem and an increase in global surveillance. Imagine living in a time where ancient prophecies are unfolding before our eyes. For many Christians, these occurrences aren't just coincidental. They see them as clues that the world is aligning with the messages and warnings found in the Bible. Could it be that we're witnessing the very signs foretold in biblical texts? The construction of a third temple, as anticipated in prophecies, holds significant meaning for many who follow biblical teachings. This structure would mark a profound shift, symbolizing the beginning of events described in books like Daniel and Revelation. It's not just about the physical building, it's about what it represents in the unfolding of God's plan. With organizations actively preparing sacred items and training priests, it feels as though every detail is being meticulously arranged for a purpose beyond what we can fully comprehend. Meanwhile, the rise of global surveillance technology raises questions about the mark of the beast mentioned in Revelation. Facial recognition, biometrics, and artificial intelligence are becoming everyday tools, shaping a society where privacy is diminishing. Believers can't help but wonder if this shift aligns with prophetic warnings, foreshadowing a time when freedom and anonymity will be things of the past. This prophecy of control through technology urges us to stay vigilant, reflecting on what these changes mean for faith and freedom. The anticipation surrounding the Third Temple is growing, especially among those who see it as a fulfillment of biblical prophecy. According to the Bible, the rebuilding of this temple will play a central role in events that precede the return of Jesus Christ. Picture the significance. A structure where God's presence is symbolically represented, and where ancient rituals are restored. For believers, the temple isn't just a physical building. It's a powerful symbol of God's covenant with His people, and a sign that history is moving towards a divinely orchestrated climax. Preparations are already in motion, with organizations creating sacred items for temple rituals, including the high priest's garments, altars, and even replicas of the Ark of the Covenant. These efforts indicate a serious intention to revive the temple's role, aligning with prophecies that foretell its influence in the last days. This isn't just historical reenactment, it's a commitment to fulfill what many believe is God's plan. Every piece being prepared holds a deeper meaning, as it reconnects the present with ancient traditions and paves the way for the temple's completion. By 2025, the goal is for the temple to be ready, a timeline that feels urgent to those familiar with prophetic texts. This timeline stirs hope, curiosity, and even caution as believers contemplate the profound implications of such a monumental project. Could the Third Temple mark the beginning of end-time events as described in the Bible? As this project unfolds, many are left to reflect on what this ancient structure means for our world today, watching closely as each piece falls into place. The rapid advancement of surveillance technology is shaping a world where privacy is diminishing. Tools like facial recognition, biometric tracking, and artificial intelligence are becoming more integrated into everyday life, creating a sense of constant observation. For those familiar with the Bible, this trend raises questions about the mark of the beast. Imagine a future where your every movement, decision, and interaction is monitored, aligning with the prophetic warnings in Revelation about a world where control is total and freedom is limited. Many are now considering the ethical and spiritual implications of these technologies. While they're often introduced as conveniences or security measures, believers recognize the potential for these tools to be used in ways that align with apocalyptic prophecies. It's not hard to see how biometric data, once stored, could be exploited for control, whether for social ranking, access to resources, or even basic freedoms. This foresight leads to a cautionary perspective, as Christians reflect on how this aligns with the warnings in the Bible and what it might mean for the future of faith and free will. With each technological advancement, we move closer to a world where personal autonomy could become a thing of the past. This scenario isn't just a concept for dystopian fiction. It's a real concern for those who value freedom of choice and spiritual integrity. The global shift towards enhanced surveillance serves as a reminder of the importance of discernment, encouraging believers to stay vigilant about what these changes mean in light of biblical prophecies. The world is watching, but the question remains, who is doing the watching, and for what purpose? As we approach 2025, the signs of growing greed are more evident than ever. The Bible warns about the love of money and materialism in the last days, and we're seeing these warnings reflected in today's society. Look around. Businesses, governments, and individuals seem driven more by profit than by values or compassion. This focus on accumulating wealth can feel empty, and for many believers, it's a reminder of biblical prophecies that caution against a world consumed by self-interest and disregard for spiritual truths. The drive for more wealth often brings with it consequences that are easy to overlook but hard to escape. In pursuing economic gain, issues like inequality, corruption, and environmental degradation intensify, affecting communities worldwide. For those who hold the Bible close, this trend speaks to the dangers of prioritizing money over the well-being of others. It's a powerful message about where our priorities should lie, urging believers to think carefully about how they approach wealth and to question whether their own pursuits align with God's teachings. Amidst this rising materialism, the Bible's wisdom calls us to a different path, a life focused on values, compassion, and faith over possessions. The increase in global greed serves as a wake-up call, reminding believers to stay grounded in spiritual principles rather than being swayed by societal pressures. This prophecy about the love of money challenges each person to reflect on their own priorities, reminding us that true fulfillment isn't found in wealth, but in a relationship with God and a life lived with purpose and humility. Across the globe, we're seeing a rise in initiatives aimed at uniting religions under a single, universal banner. Projects like the Abrahamic Family House, which brings together different faiths in one shared space, illustrate this push toward a one-world religion. For many believers, these efforts are seen as fulfilling biblical prophecies about a deceptive system in the last days. Imagine a world where religious distinctions blur, where faith loses its unique voice in favor of unity. This trend raises questions about the true nature of belief and what happens when convictions are diluted for the sake of harmony. While the idea of interfaith dialogue appears positive, it's essential to consider the spiritual implications. The Bible warns of an end-time deception that unifies humanity under a misleading banner of peace. By promoting a one-size-fits-all faith, this movement may obscure the essential truths that differentiate beliefs. Christians who study prophecy often view this as a caution, reminding them to stay rooted in their relationship with God, rather than becoming swept up in a faith that sacrifices depth for the appearance of unity. The question arises, what does unity mean if it costs us our convictions? This movement towards a unified global faith encourages believers to think critically about the foundations of their beliefs. At its core, faith is meant to be personal and profound, not molded to fit a global narrative. The Bible's prophetic warnings about a one-world religion serve as a reminder to protect one's unique faith and to recognize that true peace and unity come from God alone. This prophecy challenges each of us to reflect on what we truly stand for, urging believers to maintain their convictions amidst a world that increasingly pushes for spiritual compromise. With these insights, we're reminded that biblical prophecies carry messages not just for the past, but for our present and future. The trends we're witnessing challenge each of us to reflect deeply on our values, our faith, and the choices we make daily. Are we prepared for what may come? Perhaps these prophecies are a call to return to spiritual priorities and to seek a deeper connection with God. If you find this exploration meaningful, consider subscribing and activating notifications to stay informed on topics that shape our understanding of faith and prophecy.